let's be real for a second. Math really steps up its game with this thing called algebra. But why is that? Why does it seem so much harder? In my opinion, it's because with algebra, you've crossed into... Okay, maybe it's not that extreme, but it is a different level of mathematics. And what is the thing that people always notice about algebra that really makes it a lot different than the math they've learned before? Letters. 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 Yes, letters. Letters where numbers should be. Some letters like you write words with, but you aren't writing any words. And some letters that you've maybe never even seen before, and they look very different. So where did they come from, and why are they there? Well, think about it this way. We know numbers. 2 plus 2 equals 4. That makes sense to us. If I have 2 books, and I get 2 more books, I now have 4 books in total. That makes sense. But some situations are not that simple. There are some problems and situations in life that are a little bit more complicated. And so we need a little bit more complicated math to figure them out and make sense of them. That's where algebra comes in. Algebra is the way that we work with the known and unknown pieces of math. It's how we manipulate them and know how to think about them. Today, in this lesson, I want to talk about the unknown pieces of algebra. These are things that could be any number and that could change, which is why we call them variables. A variable is a letter or symbol that stands for a number. So when you see a letter in algebra, that doesn't mean there's some word out there that's missing something. It means that there's something unknown in the problem or the situation, or it means something's changing. It's kind of like a blank, and we have to figure out what goes in that blank. And that's where algebra starts to get fun. Oh, what is that? Oh, I'm just being told that some people don't think it's fun? When we put the known and unknown pieces, our numbers and our variables with operations, when we put all that together into a mathematical phrase, we call that an expression. So an expression is a mathematical phrase with numbers, variables, and operation symbols. An expression is like a sentence in English, but instead of using words, we use mathematical symbols. We can even translate a mathematical sentence written in English into a mathematical expression. And that's what we want to work on today. But before we do that, let's go back to something else I mentioned, operations. Mathematical operations include addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. There are plenty of other mathematical operations, but those are the most basic that you're familiar with. But when we write math, we don't always just use the words add, subtract, multiply, or divide. There are other words that we could use for them. So it's important to know those when reading, writing, and speaking math. So let's talk about a few of those words. For addition, we could use words like sum, total, more than, or increased. For subtraction, you may see words like difference, less than, fewer than, or decreased. For multiplication, you might see words like product, times, twice, or the word of. And for division, you might see the words quotient, divided by, evenly, or split. It's good to be aware of all these different words for operations when reading problems. The better that you understand how math is written and what all the symbols and words and letters mean, the easier it is to work with the math and work on these problems. So now go ahead and jump over to lesson 1.1 examples to begin writing mathematical expressions.